It's like you're hiring your own death panel. When your care starts cutting into Medicare Advantage profitability, they give you the axe, literally and figuratively. I mean, if you get a costly cancer treatment prescribed and Medicare Advantage denies your treatment, what are you to do? Egberto's given lots of horror stories about people given death sentences over Medicare Advantage profits. It's up to the citizens to drive those vampires out with a stake through their heart. It's up to the citizens and government to make sure these corporate abuses of public trust are prosecuted. Oh, darn. The Supreme Court is corrupted too. What's a poor American citizen to do?
Well, we don't want to move to Venezuela. So maybe Sweden? With the Swedish...
Actually, believe it or not, good healthcare, a lot of good stuff in Sweden, a lot of good stuff in Norway. In fact, I did a piece on I interviewed this American who emigrated to Norway. He lives there permanently now. He got there when Bush got elected. He decided to just call it quits and leave the country. And while in Norway, his son got in an accident and was temporarily paralyzed. What his son went through would have costed him a fortune, if not his home, everything else. In Norway, it was all covered, from the helicopter ride from the mountain where his son went, to the rehabilitation, which was a long rehabilitation process. And I can tell you, here in America, you don't get it. My daughter got like 9 weeks of rehab and everything else had to be done on her lonesome, and she's still doing it on her lonesome. Let me tell you, when we talk about the terrible state of our healthcare, for those who don't know, my daughter has had 2 strokes before she was the first one before she was 30, the second one I think when she was 30. And brother, thank you for that, because and thanks for bringing up Sweden, Howard, because it gives me a chance to not bloviate, because bloviate kind of make it look like it's silly stuff, to talk some real stuff about where healthcare is around the world. Norway, and any of these Scandinavian countries, even France. But when we talk about the Scandinavian countries, they don't pay any more per se in taxes than we do, if you count insurance that we pay, which can cost you a bunch as taxes, because you got to have it. So if it's a single payer system, it costs you a lot less, but it's taxes, right? But you get the service that you need. You never, ever have to worry about, I can't afford to go to the doctor, ever. And it's, people, when people hear that your money can go so much further if you have a single payer Medicare for all type system, the only way we don't do it is because we misinform, ill-informed, disinformed people. Just before I came on to the show today, I was listening to a writer from The Atlantic. And this writer was talking about the Democratic Party and his concern that the country has made a rightward populist move, and that truth no longer matters, that it's all about lies, and, that goes through, etc. And his critique of the Democratic Party is, are they ever going to understand that and stop being sort of an elitist type party? And half of what he said was right. Democrats tend to be elitist because they don't go where the people are. They don't go to meet the people oftentimes. We tell them what's good for them, and then we call it a day, as opposed to first listening to their needs and then catering what Democrats are proposing in a form that is for these people who are listening. So let me give a perfect example. Democrats or progressive Democrats are for Medicare for all, and they are for having healthcare as a human right. Republicans promote that as pie in the sky, overspending, etc. Wow, imagine they are able to tell rural America that Medicare for all is overspending. Think about this. It's overspending. And they buy it, right? They buy that I can't have good health care. I can't have my needs taken care of because it's overspending. Now, I want you to think about this. All over rural America, everywhere in rural America, people are dying because hospitals are closing. And why are and these are mostly occurring in red states. And why are these hospitals closing? These hospitals are closing because these state governments, many of them, refuse to accept the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act, which give poor people, and guess what the rural area is filled with? Poor people. Give poor people access to health care, and that access to health care would be paid for by the federal government, which would keep those hospitals in those rural areas open and ready to take patients on an emergency basis, on a cancer basis, where people don't have to run to the big cities for service. So here we are. Democrats have the policy to keep those hospitals open, but Republicans are preaching that these policies are bad for them. How comes when the next hospital closes in Timbuktu, rural America, you don't see a band of Democrats in a bus that drives the 150 miles into rural America and put up a big stand and say, this hospital here is going away because this congressperson, that senator, that state senator, they all said that they rather kill you than keep this hospital open. They could use what's happening in real time if they respected our rural brothers and sisters enough to get the hell out of the cities, go into these areas and earn the damn vote. Earn the vote of our rural brothers and sisters. You know, a lot of them are going to say, well, you know what they say? They call us own the libs and all of that. You know why they do that? That didn't happen overnight. We seeded. When I say we, I have to take my host hat off. So I got to stop talking about we. Democrats seeded the rural areas to the charlatanes of the Republican Party. They seeded it. They said you could have it. We will work with the masses. Look, the honorable folks, the moral folks, the folks who care about humanity can also have a problem in elitism, in how they address others, right? And we all sometimes fail at that. And what I'm saying is the Democratic Party doesn't need to change who they are, because who they are is that moral being that believes in humanity, that doesn't believe. And when I say the Democratic Party, I'm talking about the progressive wing of the Democratic Party, because the neoliberal wing of the Democratic is no different than the neoliberal wing of the Republican Party. No difference whatsoever. The only difference that they have is the neoliberal wing of the the Republican Party will kowtow to Trump, while the neoliberal wing of the Democratic Party would not do that. But fiscally and character-wise, no difference. But the progressive wing of the Democratic Party is the morality of what America represents. And if you doubt it, I went to a Netroots back in Arizona, in Phoenix. I think it was the one where Elizabeth Warren came and gave the keynote speech. And Elizabeth Warren highlighted all the progressive policies that Democrats support, and then map that against what Americans said that they want. And even Republicans wanted the policies that Democrats support. So let's get back to Brother Jack and Medicare Advantage and how it's killing people. It's not hard. It's not hard to put what the neoliberals have allowed, and that's Democratic neoliberals and Republican neoliberals have allowed the private insurance companies to do to Americans, not just seniors. Yes, seniors with Medicare Advantage, but all Americans with insurance proper. They've used us. Our politicians have allowed the private sector to use us as cogs, a profit center, with our putting our health at risk for the private insurance companies. And that is something that we should never forgive them for. And that is something that we should have their jobs for. That is something that we should make sure that any one of those politicians who support private health insurance and what they do to us should never see elected office again. But you know what? We have to start treating all Americans as intelligent beings, because they are. Ill-informed? Yes. Misinformed? Yes. But we have got to start addressing our brothers and sisters because we really do care, whether you're in rural America or whether you're in city America.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.